Follow me into the DorkLair. Follow me into the DorkLair.
Welcome to episode 203 of the DorkLair Collecting Podcast. We are continuing a very special DorkLair this week. We're going to pick up right where we left off and continue with that Sears catalog. And that's all we're doing this week. I mean, we're going to open some presents and we're going to do the Sears catalog, but there's really not much news. We can talk briefly about some recent pickups, but we're going to jump right back into that Sears catalog. Just a heads up, I did turn off super chats this week, so if you guys are looking for that, those are turned off. I thought we could do this just a chill, intimate Christmas party type thing going on. And no giveaway this week either, because I'm just going to be chilling and relaxing, and I don't want to have any extra little tasks for shipping or any of that stuff. Going to get out of work tomorrow pretty early and then just enjoy the holiday. Anyway, what's up, guys?
Just getting ready for in my area, about 2 inches of snow to get dumped on us tomorrow, and the world will grind to a halt. Yeah, we're supposed to get some weather down here. I think it's been precipitating pretty bad yesterday and today and all through this evening, and it's supposed to get down to something like 19 degrees tomorrow. It's supposed to start at it's like 38, 37 degrees when I get up, and by the time nightfall comes, it's supposed to be like 14 or 15 degrees.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I think we'll get a little bit of something, but I'm sure it'll melt off sooner than later.
60 degrees in Boston tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Raining in like 60.
Dude, there's like some huge cold snap going to like the middle of the country. I guess it's not hitting.
Yeah, it's hitting us too. Like it says here, let's see, tomorrow the high is going to be at about 3 a.m. It's going to be in the 50s, but then it says here about 6:30 it's going to be about 14 degrees. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's looking pretty nutty. So we'll see. And then the high on Saturday, it looks like is going to be about 31 degrees. So we'll see what happens. We're supposed to travel on Saturday down to Simpsonville to Steph's sister's house. Our brother-in-law is a hand surgeon, and he's on call this weekend, so they can't leave. So we're doing her side of the family there on Saturday, and then we're going to Lenore, which is in Western North Carolina, for my parents on Christmas evening, which means for the first time since we've been together, we got our Christmas morning all to ourselves. So there's going to be pancakes and waffles. So
nice.
When you wake up and open your presents, know that I'll be inducing a diabetic coma over here.
Laura wants to know what state you live in, Larry.
North Carolina. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to be going to Simpsonville, which is near Greenville, South Carolina. And then, like I said, into the mountains of Western North Carolina. So it may be, depending on what happens with the precipitation and the weather, we may get marooned. And I don't think either one of us would be too upset about that. But beyond that, as you guys can see, I'm working on the collection room. It's a little neater than it was last time. I got these new shelves that you see behind me. So I'm going to kind of make this whole back wall Transformers. Going to clean up all the Avengers and the DC and Marvel stuff, and then where all the Transformers are now, going to rotate some retail Transformers, some Mafex, some G.I. Joe, and just kind of clean this up. But and have you guys ever come home to your collection? And this is folks in the chat too. And you go into your room and something looks off, and a joint of some oddly colored plastic, so it turns out brittle, has spontaneously combusted while you were gone. It happened years ago to my Tila Masters of the Universe Classic or Green Goddess.
When you say combusted, do you mean it caught fire, or do you mean
it just
like melted or
exploded, just shattered under its own weight. It happened years ago with that Green Goddess. A lot of times, we have issues with translucent plastic, and her pelvis exploded. I came home from work one day. The pieces were big enough I could glue it together. So I come in the other day, and I have a masterpiece shelf where like all of the Nemesis Primes and the Sound Blaster and the dark versions of folks are. And there's a Black Rodimus from the Masterpiece line, and his knees just. So I found one place online on eBay that looks like they do replacement parts for that character, but it's for the Rodimus Prime version, so they're the wrong color. So if anyone out there knows anyone that does or does 3D printing and can do those parts, give me a heads up. I'd like to know, because that was I came home and one of the knees was exploded, and I picked it up, and when I did, the lower leg fell off of the other side. So I'm trying to get that fixed up. Now, no new purchases really this week. Just been opening up all the stuff that I didn't have. I picked up a that Avengers. What was that line? The Tech On Avengers line from Figure Arts. Picked up the Wolverine Venom, which is a really cool piece. I think that's really about it. I mean, that's really about it. And I got notification that I think you said you did as well, Bill, that the Mondo Deluxe He-Man is shipping. So I'm really excited to see that show up.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't get the email yet, but I got the like in my UPS account, the little thing saying that I have something coming from those guys. So let's check in the chat real quick and then get into Chris. So Omar V, sup DorkLair, sup everyone. Brock, who says adults are buying toys for themselves and it's the biggest source of growth for the industry. Yeah, there was a big article about that. I felt like the writer was a little like kind of like insulting towards us, but like the data, the data shows that, and it's funny because I feel like Hasbro has been saying for years, like it's, we're primarily selling toys to kids, and that might be true, but like that is 25% is a large percent of
and we're consistent buying base that can be counted on to continue to purchase.
Buying whole waves.
You don't have to they don't have to waste money on marketing for us. They don't have to do anything for us except produce what we want, make it accessible, and make it quality.
Yeah.
So we're easy.
Oh, you know what? I can't remember I'm gonna look this up. So there was a podcast. His name is, I'm gonna forget. I gotta think of his name. Hold on a second. What is the show called? Tim Ferriss, the Tim Ferriss Show.
Sounds familiar.
And he had Todd McFarlane on, and it was awesome, and it was really interesting, and it spoke a lot to, the way that he's able to keep prices down, because he doesn't have to, and it's what we've been talking about for a long time. Like, he doesn't serve shareholders, right? Like, it's a private company, and it like a lot of it really came down to just it being not in service of shareholder profits, and like that's what's really driving a lot of this stuff with Hasbro, and like Magic the Gathering too is like a big part of that whole picture with Hasbro. They're really like, they kind of seem like they're burning that whole thing down right now.
Everything. I mean, you see it all the time with corporate things where it's like, we need to see growth. It's like, you can't just sell $100 million of product every year. They're like, no, we need to go to 105.
It has to be trending. Yeah, it has to be trending up from the previous year.
That's all due to investors and in the stock and everything. But I didn't realize McFarlane's still a private company. So that's crazy that he can really wield that much. I wish I loved his stuff more.
It definitely worth a listen. Like, he talks about all aspects of his business, all aspects of his career, his relationship with Stan Lee. He talks about like just tons of stuff. And this was a part 2. I didn't even realize it. I have to go back and listen to part 1 at some point, but it was an awesome interview. And it's just Todd, like, just talking about all his stuff, everything he's into, like, just stories, like a story about like Eddie Vedder when he did their music video for one of their videos way back, and like stories about that. Like, it was a really good interview. I highly recommend it because there's a lot of toy talk, a lot of pop culture talk, and a lot of like just his business of like how he approaches things. And it was very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just downloaded those. I'm gonna look for those later. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. So Chris, recent pickups?
The one thing that I got in was my, I suppose, final Dorkside order. I had ordered some Super 7 Ultimates, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so finally, I've been wanting these forever, and I probably just canceled them at some point. But these are at least the 2 I opened today, Leatherhead, and then the Samurai Leonardo. Yeah, I think these are both pretty awesome. I'm very happy with both of them. So, and especially with the discount.
And you placed that order after this was like during the heat of all the stuff, right? Like during the sales
It was
and whatnot.
before they put off that they're closing, but it was during whenever. It was like
It was like
literally
around the time of our episode, right?
It was it was this, not the one with Nerdzoic, the one before that where we
Right,
started talking about it.
Yeah.
It was literally like while we were getting ready for that episode, I checked and I
Okay,
saw they had
that's right.
lowered the prices and stuff.
Yeah,
It was like
Cool.
it took a little while to get here, but yeah, they showed up. It was the complete order. So
Speaking of getting things at a discount, if anyone out there is collecting the Masterverse line, I'd mentioned several weeks ago that I'm picking up anything representative of those early 2 or 3, maybe 4 years of the original Masters line. Target has some of their deluxe stuff on sale. I was able to get, my neighbor actually picked up for me Trapjaw and Hordak, and those are the big deluxes that are usually like $30 plus, and I was able to get them for $12 a piece. So if any of you guys out there are collecting that Masterverse line and looking to fill gaps, go check that out. I was in a Target today and they were still on sale. And then they also had like the larger, not the regular size, like the Beastman size. They had those on sale and the handful of regular figures that were left over. They even had the 40th anniversary He-Man. I think it was like $8 or $9. And that is a freaking awesome figure. I mean, I have one open, I have one in the package. Too. Oh yeah, I have one open, I have one in the package, and I'm thinking about getting another one so I can buy one of those custom heads like the one that you showed me, Bill.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, it's too good.
Yeah. And that's the only one with that bigger body. So like doing those like kit bashes and swaps and stuff, it's perfect. It's an awesome figure for $8. That's crazy. I would have bought more.
Yeah, if you can pick that, if you're a customizer, I would definitely pick up a handful of those for fodder because, like Bill said, it doesn't have that more slender, realistic body. It's got the big, impossible, even with all of the performance enhancing drug technology of today, it's got that big, impossible, chunky 80s physique that looks so good on that figure.
Yeah, it does. So I was going to mention also Masterverse. Oh, Big Bad Toy Store has some of the newer ones in stock. They have Stratos and Roboto from Revelation. Stratos is New Eternia, and then Roboto from Revelation. But I think I'm going to get the Roboto anyway because, are they really going to make that different of a Roboto anytime soon? I can't see them.
Yeah.
Because it looks pretty classic looking, But yeah, those are in stock right now. So I would imagine they're going to start hitting other stores as well. And I just wanted to mention Mecha Rekka finally picked up Nuglin, but Bill beat me to the Bromden. Yes, I did. I was able to pick up a really good deal on a Bromden.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great
figure.
$60. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was in our the Discord group, the Figure Collective.
Nice.
And so Braku, his Stratos shipped from Big Bad Toy Store. Yeah, She-Ra and Hordak for $16. Yep.
Yeah, I saw them today too for that price.
That's the price at my store too. I was there yesterday. Yep. I was in a Target madhouse yesterday. It was just crazy. Let's see. Fatmatic is here. Simone Barreto, what's up, dude? I'm still loving the animation you did for the videos. And and then for me, speaking of Dorkside Toys, I didn't get it from Dorkside Toys, but a year later, and I finally picked up my next Valaverse figure. Nice. So this is the Infantry Commando. This was the one that was the Dorkside Toys exclusive. Mm-hmm. And then he bought them back, or he got them back in his hands after Dorkside was shutting down. And it's pretty sweet. Like probably everything that I actually was very high on these. Like I was very positive on these when they first came out, and they were just exterior bullshit that like drove me kind of away from it. But the few minor gripes I had are like non-existent on this one. The really stiff, rigid plastic, the really tight joints, the the pegs for the vest, and I know this is a different vest than the other ones, so I can't
Mhm.
speak to the other vests, but this pegs in easy. Like it's just like these are nice figures. I gotta say, he is, as much as I have issues with that whole community and whatnot after that last year BS, like this is it's a nice figure.
If you can get back, if you can get by his, if you can get by his online personality, they are fantastic figures. And I noticed the same thing, Bill. I got that 4 or 5 figures from that initial wave, and I had the same kind of gripes with it that you did. But I picked up a couple since then. There was a Steel Brigade, like not a reissue, but a different version of that, like in darker colors. The second Sergeant Slaughter. I'm trying to look. There was one other one that I got later on, but it seems like all of those are fixed. And the thing that I love the most about this line is just how real they put so much realism into the accessories and the weapons. And I mean, it's an awesome line for realism.
Yeah, this is the one. Is it the Night Ops, the Big Bad Toy Store one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
that's on my list of. There's a couple that I want to get. I want to get that one, and I want to get the one that's kind of gray, has grays and reds. I can't remember what it is.
Kill Switch. No, that's
actually
that's the lady.
It's actually like a generic, but it's got this vest on it, and it's got a helmet. It's got like a almost like a
so look like a Spartan.
It's like a helmet that's like, like maybe you'd be using it for like explosives or something. But anyway, there's a couple that I want, and after getting this, I'm definitely gonna pull the trigger on a couple more, I think. And then the female wave, that should be showing up soon.
Yeah, there's some really, really good stuff. I mean, I'm not going to be all in on it just because of, if I didn't have space issues, I'd be all in on it because they're quality figures. They really are. They did a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, and he's reissuing figures, and he's improving those issues that people were having. They come loaded with accessories. Like they're nice. They're nice figures. That whole community, on the other hand, I mean, it's been a year since that whole crap happened, but that whole, like, it's just like a toy community that just has a much higher percentage of jerks, and I was treated like crap, and like, it sucks because it kind of ruined it for like the awesome people who are collecting that line and who I could have been like friends with or whatever, but. Basically,
I just completely bowed out of that.
I had like 2 little gripes, and I was like accused of like trying to actively like tarnish Vala.
Yeah.
It was like a Vala cult of like,
Yeah, they're standing him.
and it was just ridiculous. And my reviews were like absolutely positive. There's just a couple issues with them. But anyway.
Yeah, like the gun broke and people accused you of doing it on purpose.
Because we all know that Bill, if anyone tells stories and fabrications and is full of hyperbole, it's Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. A lot of McFarlane Princess Bride figures on clearance. Those can work with your Masterverse figs too.
Yeah, I saw those in a Books A Million yesterday, and they were all like 40% off.
Yeah.
I love the Princess Bride, but I think they all look terrible. Like they're
terrible
so
figures.
Bad.
Yeah, they really are. I was shocked at how bad those figures were.
Yeah, I know.
And I really wanted to get a Dread Pirate Roberts and a Pheasant.
Yeah.
And they just, I mean, my old LJN
figure, I'm like, come on.
I have an old rubber LJN figure from 1986 that has a better Andre likeness than that. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, and one last thing here. There's always ass clowns out there. Yeah, there are always ass clowns out there. Yeah. And when the percentage is really high in a community, and I'll just walk away and say, F you guys, I'll go collect legions. Anyway, I also got this Christmas ornament.
Oh, nice.
Conan.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a gift from Trevor.
Nice.
And
that is very cool.
So it's really neat. And it looks like it's going to weigh a ton because it looks like pewter. But thankfully it's not, because if it was pewter, this thing would just drag a whole tree branch down, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually like a resin or something, so it's a lot lighter than it would be if it were pewter. It's really nice. And it's going on my tree as soon as I go upstairs after this, because it just came in today. So Trevor, I'm not sure if Trevor's in here today, but
I haven't seen him yet.
But thank you, Trevor, if you end up rewatching this. It is. It is badass. It's awesome. We'll see what my wife thinks of it, but I have weirder things on my tree than that. So
Yeah, right.
I have like Tim and Eric like paper cutout things on my Christmas tree and like really like wacko stuff.
Our Christmas tree's kind of schizophrenic. Steph buys me Transformers and Star Wars ornaments every year, so you've got like different.
Yeah.
The tree is like a collection room. You got different properties on different shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the catalog again, I guess now is a good time while we're doing recent pickups. We should probably open some presents. And now Larry's stuff is still in the mail, so we're gonna open the stuff that Larry sent to me and Chris next week. So let's see, who do we want to start with? How about I'll open Chris's gift first, and then Larry, you can open Chris's. How's that sound?
Okay, sounds good.
And then because I want you guys to open your two up kind of near each other.
Sure.
All right, so let me get to Chris's here. Let's see. There's a lot of things here. I think there's like
Yeah,
three or
a couple
four things here.
different.
All right, I'm gonna go with the little one first. We got the Marvel wrapping paper right here.
Nice.
What we got here. I very much have been looking forward to this. It's becoming
Me too. I hope you guys like it. I try to actually think about it.
We're a hard bunch to buy for because it's like if we want something, we go get it.
Yeah, that's probably leaning towards why some of my selections.
Hey, continuing the theme, we have the
that is so
Garbage
great.
Pail Kid version of the Frazetta Conan right here, which is Barbarian Brandon and Howard Havoc.
Oh, you got both of them. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Both I love that the two names. And then we have Ahab over here. We have Wyatt Whale and Angry Ahab. Do you know that I'm
Very
like a huge
nice.
Moby Dick fan?
You wrote it in one of the comments in the in our Facebook group. I think you said that was like your favorite book. Because I had gotten that the barbarian cards, and I was like, oh yeah, there's an Ahab card in here. I should throw that in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, Moby Dick is like my all-time favorite book. Speaking of books, this feels like a book. Let's see what this is. Oh, look at that.
How cool is that?
It's the Abrams, right? That's this series? Yeah, the Abrams trading card. So you flip through it, and it's all the classic trading cards for the Planet of the Apes stuff. That's cool. I guess I didn't even... I should have assumed they did, but I kind of never realized they had trading cards. But that is sweet. Thank you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no problem.
Those books are awesome. I've never had one. I've always thought about getting the Star Wars ones, and I've never picked one of these up, and that's very cool.
I have like Garbage Pail Kids, but I don't think I want to get the Star Wars ones because I keep thinking about buying the Star Wars cards, and I'm just like, there's like a lot of them. There's like 300 per movie or something, so it's a lot.
Yeah, and the old ones, it's like they're not hard to buy price wise, but it's like there's so many of them. All right, so here we have something long and thin.
Something thin.
If you guys want to check in on the chat while I'm doing this.
I think everybody's just watching you open the presents. It's not moved very much.
Ken, our action figure, says that's awesome. I've been wanting that book. Very cool.
Wow, that's impressive.
Cards. Oh, look at this. It's the puzzle. Okay. So the Marvel trading cards, and this is the puzzle for the Conan.
Oh, that's
1.
cool.
So you know how like the trading cards form the puzzle. That's awesome, dude. That's sweet.
Yeah. When I got back into cards, I was just looking up old cards, and then that just came up. I saw it on a like an eBay listing. I was like, oh.
These are really thoughtful gifts, man.
Yeah, I know you put a ton of thought into these things.
All right. And it's a page. I can slide it right into one of my binders.
Yeah, that's what I thought it would mean.
I do have quite a few trading cards. I know I talk about Magic mostly, but I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I realized later on, I was like, I'm buying Bill a lot of trading cards related stuff.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And it's like, I have a very erratic collection. I have stuff all over the place. All right, here we go. We've got issue, where is it? Number 70, Savage Sword, with essentially Gomez, a muscular.
Yeah, that's why I saw that. And I'm like, I need to get that one. I'm like, this
That
looks
is
just
great.
like Gomez.
Yeah, it does. Now I want to do like like put the Gomez head on a muscle body.
Yeah.
And we've got issue 19. Wait. Yeah, no, number 19 right here, which I have a couple of these, but these two I don't have. So that's pretty sweet.
Cool.
Wings
Yeah,
of
I figured I know you have like omnibuses and stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
I saw those at Comic-Con, so I picked them up.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
this one has People of the Black Circle. And this one, not sure what that one has, but yeah. Sweet. Thank you so much, man. That is awesome.
No problem.
That's how you that's how you shop for an action figure collector. Get 'em-
Yeah.
get 'em, like,
Seriously.
out of
Don't
the-
buy him action figures.
Seems about right.
Okay. So Larry, you want to open
All
up
right.
the ones Chris sent you?
Yep. So we've got something stacked here with the same separately wrapped card. It feels like something in a card holder based on what we saw earlier. Let's get this open. I don't know why I'm worried about not making a mess. What you guys can't see is the floor is full of stuff right now. All right. Okay. I got the same one.
Nice.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that.
I don't know if you guys can see from here, but if you can see on that Star Wars shelf down there, I use as a backdrop some carded figures, like Chris, that Darth Vader that you got me a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
The special. I've got that as a backing for my Return of the Jedi shelf. So I use stuff like this to back. So this will go on the Mezco 112 shelf with that Conan. That's awesome. I love that. I remember when I was in about the fourth grade, I was in private school till the third grade. So fourth grade was my first year in public school. And as a result, didn't have a ton of friends. Everyone had known each other for years. And the way that I finally became one of the cool kids was I saved up my nickels and dimes and pennies that I picked up. And I bought a pack of Garbage Pail Kids. And I brought those to school. And all of a sudden, I was no longer one of the unclean. So Garbage Pail Kids have a special place in my heart.
Cool.
Oh, wow. What is this? Okay, okay. Oh, there's a couple of issues in here. So this is the UK Transformers. I don't know if any of you guys have read this. Several years ago, I don't think it might have been right when IDW got the license. They did trade paperbacks of all kinds of stuff. So I bought all the trade paperbacks for the original series. And then there was a company, I think it might have been IDW, and they did oversized because the UK comics, as you can see, these are larger than standard size. And I bought a bunch of the trade paperbacks of those. But through the years, anytime I find vintage Transformers comics in good shape, I pick them up. And you guys see on here, it says Action Force. That's what G.I. Joe was over there. And here on the back, here's a cool Action Force advertisement. Okay, so this is issue 88. No, it's November of 88. So that's issue 155, 190.
I think they might be weekly. Like I tried to get a couple that were like in a row. Like I found them at Comic Con.
They did a couple of things. So what they did early on with that initial 4-issue limited series that they did when Transformers first launched, it was monthly here, and then there was a lag time, and then they started doing it over in the UK bi-weekly. Well, since US was on a weekly schedule, very quickly, UK ran out of stories because they started reprinting when the US title was in its teens or early 20s, and then they ran out. So in a lot of these, and let me open this up so I can see, in a lot of these, you would have the first few pages would be a reprint of whatever the part of the US story. And then let's see, and you can see they're thinner as well. So you would have a reprint of the US story, and then you get into the back and there would be either a backup story or they would print, like here, they print an Action Force story, a G.I. Joe story they'd print as Action Force. So they did that, and so they could fill that out and do that on a bi-weekly basis. That is really cool. I've got almost all of the U.S. Vintage Transformers, and I have all of the G2. I don't have any UK stuff. So this is awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
That's fantastic. I love stuff like that.
We got Art G in the house. What's up, Art G? Just going through the chat a little bit here.
All right. And then we have another box with snowmen.
You're gonna probably have to actually open that up to see what it is.
Okay. Try to keep the mess kind of localized here. All right. So brown box, mystery box. J.J. Abrams wrapped this with foam. Okay. This is something encased in foam, so I'm going to be kind of careful here. This is like a Hall of Armor. Hold on. Oh, something fell out. So I know it's something to do with Christian Bale's Batman, because I recognize that grapple gun.
Yeah,
oh, shoot. Check this out. I have seen this and wanted this and never pulled the trigger on this. It's the I don't remember exactly what they call it. It's basically that like Hall of Armor. It's the armory. Like if you guys remember in The Dark Knight when they were in the underground thing and Bruce put the stuff away and the thing kind of disappeared into the floor.
Yeah.
That's what this is, and it's SH figure art size. Dude, this is so perfect because I'm in the midst of rearranging the room and I want to doctor up my Batman shelf a little bit. So I'll be able to do with Batman like I have all my Tony Starks over there. That is fantastic. Oh, that is so awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I picked one up and I was like, I think you'd probably like it. It is, it's like it's pretty close to the Hot Toys did one, but yeah, it's essentially a 1/12 scale version of that.
Yeah, so the figure arts, this is not figure arts, right? So a third party made
it. It's a third party. Yeah, it's totally third party.
Yeah. I never saw. Oh, it's got LED lights in it too.
Yeah, I think it's
got to put some batteries. Oh, dude, that is so great. Thank you so much. That is fantastic. Yeah, as soon as I get the room rearranged and put it in its proper place, I'll post pictures. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, let's let Chris. Oh, was that it for you?
Right?
That's
enough.
Let's let Chris get into his gift. So based on the shape of the box.
Oh, okay, I got it.
I told them not to open their packages until today because they would sort of know a little bit of what's inside there.
Ooh, wow! It's a dwarf with a custom head sculpt.
Yep. So that is.
I got cool.
That at Legion's Con.
Awesome.
That is Nikki Nicole. I forget who the sculptor is on that. If anybody's in the chat and recognizes that one, I forget. But Nikki Nicole Cheney painted that one. So it's.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, and you got a dwarf box. Oh wait, I guess I didn't turn off.
I was going to say, what is Hedgehog hacking us or something?
Yeah, I thought I turned off the monetization on this one, but Hedgehog got in there with the super chat. Gotta run, family stuff. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you very much, man. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that one is there's like sticky tack on there, so that should be pretty good to just like pop and switch around to whatever figures you want. But that's
pretty
really
cool.
So Amel Wickman sculpted that one.
Nice.
Okay.
Sweet. Thank you, Mindless. Appreciate it.
Very cool. All right. I left it in. I left it in.
Second.
Oh, is there one more?
Let me exit solo. All right, there you go.
I left it in here so I couldn't even peek at the shape of it until we got it up. So give me a second. Okay, this is hilarious.
Speak of the devil.
So when I was just now saying I wanted to buy another 40 for the custom head, there's a 40th. What can I figure out which direction with a badass custom head? Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
That's
so
gonna go. That's
go
gonna.
ahead.
I have a shelf right here. Hang on, I'm gonna show you. I have a shelf right over here with Gray Skull and the kind of the barbarian stuff.
Yeah.
And there is a shelf that has nothing on it, and that is where this is going to go. That is perfect. Thank you so much, dude. That is awesome.
You're welcome. So that is Monster Machine Creations Sculpt. That's the one that
head.
we were looking at when he was selling them. So I bought 2 blank sculpts.
Wow.
And thankfully, because I don't really do human paint jobs, I haven't really attempted much of that yet, but thankfully Eric Miller was kind enough to take commission on that. And so that's an Eric Miller paint job. His paintwork is amazing. Now, Larry, that one does not have sticky tack. I just Jimmy rigged some foam, I think, inside there. So
this is staying. This is going to stay as a display piece, just like this.
Just like that. Okay, there you go.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much, and I love that it looks like the vintage head, but it's not. That's the only thing I didn't like about this figure was the vintage. It was too vintage. It needed to be angrier. It needed to be this. And the paint work is awesome. The dry brushing on the features of the face and the hair, that's just amazing. That dude did a great job.
Yeah, he does some really good work. Eric Miller is awesome.
That is just something else.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's to be a cliffhanger till next week till they get their stuff from me. But I'm sorry, it's not nearly as cool as this. But I still hope you dig it. That is awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, and then so one more thing before we get back into the catalog. And again, we're not really talking news. I think one news item was Chris, you said there was a Mafex Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, just saw that pop up like an hour ago.
Was it like a magazine scan or was that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, I don't really have any other news this week, which is good because, we're going to keep going with what we're doing here. But preview of next week. So for those of you who want to enjoy the best of 2022 fun that we're going to have next week and you want to make your own lists, and as we're going through the list, people can share their favorites in these categories in the chat. So, pull together your list for next week. But here are the categories. I pretty much recycled them straight up from last year. I tried to make it a little more streamlined, but it's mostly the same stuff as last year. So we will be sharing our favorite or best 1/18 scale or 375 figure, best 6-inch or that should say 6-inch or 1/12 scale. I don't know what the hell happened there. It's not 6 or 1 inch. 6 or 7.
6 or 7 inches.
Oh.
6 or 7. That's a 7. I changed it over to this weird font to make it look nice, and my 7 looks like a 1. So 6 or 7 inch. So that like the McFarlane stuff could go in that category. Best 6 scale or like a bigger premium format. Oftentimes Larry's into the Transformers, which aren't 6 scale, but they're big, big old expensive figures. Best figure under 50, best figure 50 to 150, best figure over 150. By the way, those 3 categories will be my same 3 top 10 lists that I'm going to do as my own individual lists on the channel. So I'll have those up starting next week. They'll probably spill into the new year. Last year, I think I did under 50, 50 to 100, and then 100 plus. This time I changed that middle range a little bit, but yep. So we have those 3 pricing categories. Then we have the best current value from 2022. Current, like what's the best thing you can go out and buy right now? It's still a really good price. Maybe it's on sale, right? Like that kind of category. Best current value. Biggest disappointment of 2022. Biggest surprise of 2022. Favorite figure overall of 2022. So like the top, your number one overall, and then looking forward to in 2023. So those are our categories. Take a screenshot if you want to save it for later. I'll post it in the DorkLair Facebook group for people to take a look at. I've already been starting to, plant some seeds of that stuff around places for the best of as we get past Christmas and get into the new year. So we hope to see you next week with your lists. All right. You guys ready?
Ready, sir.
Yeah, let's go.
Here we go. Okay, I got to change my own setup here a little bit so that I can see both. And I can see the chat. I can see you guys. Okay. So we are on page 532. If you guys, actually, everybody should do this. Like if you're in the chat and you haven't checked out this website yet, go down into the comments below. And I forget exactly offhand. It's it's right on the page. Christmas.musetechnical.com. Open up another page and just like bounce back and forth and explore that page. You can go all the way back to like the 1950s and like browse catalogs from whenever. JCPenney, Sears, like all sorts of stuff. It's pretty wild. It's such a cool site. And I remember somebody last week, I think it was Nate Strong, was like, dude, you got me down this rabbit hole. All I'm doing is like browsing this site now. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Anyway, the one we are looking at, if you want to pull up that specific one, is the 1986 Sears Christmas book. And Larry, we had Toy Bro on last week with Chris, and I felt like the old man because they were a little on the younger side still when this came out. So I get somebody who can relate to me a little bit more.
This is right in my wheelhouse, brother. This is right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about this last week, but for you, Larry, you want to get your thoughts on this page.
So when I first opened that page, I remember like whenever that Christmas catalog would come, was always an event because growing up, and I think I mentioned this before, we didn't get toys just because.
Yeah.
We got toys at 3 times. You got Christmas, you got birthday, and if you might get a G.I. Joe figure or a little Transformer in the Easter basket. And beyond that, unless you saved up your money or whatever, that was it. So the Christmas catalog was a big deal. I mean, it was even when we would go to the mall or go to the store, we didn't even get to just stand and drool in the toy section because my parents were not going to put up with gimme, gimme, gimme. And when my parents said no, it was no, or your rear end caught on fire. So when this magazine came, it was such a big deal. And we would keep it until the next year. And then whenever mom would throw it out, the next one came, I would tear out the toy pages and I would save G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, whatever we were collecting. But I remember looking at this, but show me the overview of the whole page again.
All right, let me zoom back down.
Yep. So I remember what we got. Now, my little brother was getting stuff too, but here's the thing. Joe didn't really care for figures. So basically whatever G.I. Joe or Transformers or something like that he got, I would generally inherit within 2 or 3 days. He loved Turtles and He-Man. So that year he got the Tomahawk and I got the Havoc and the Conquest X30. So the Tomahawk, I remember we kept that. We had that thing for years. I don't think that propeller lasted. Those propellers didn't last but more than maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they were broken off.
Yeah.
But we never had the Terrordrome. I had a friend that had it. Joe got for his birthday that year that Dreadnoks hovercraft / helicopter down there. And like I said, I had the extra. That's all that we had from this collection. We had a couple of odds and ends with figures. But mom was trying to kind of split duties between G.I. Joe and Transformers and get us a little something from everything. I eventually got Serpentor in a trade, but I remember this was the year. Yeah, you can see there with what Sears would do every year is they would have a group of heroes and a group of villains, like 5 or 6 that you could buy. One year it was like Major Blood, Baroness, Destro, Cobra Commander. So here you can see on the villain side, you had Xandar, Zorana, Monkey Wrench, the Viper, Dr. Mindbender, and the Bat. And I remember I was over at a friend's house for a Boy Scout sleepover, and he had the bat. He had Dr. Mindbender on the good guy's side there. He had Beachhead, and he had, roll that over, I can't remember who else is there. He had Beachhead, he had Leatherneck. I had Sci-Fi, and I had Hawk, and I had Low Light. But yeah, so what would happen was 3 or 4 of us would get together and bring what we had, and we would have most of them. And one guy had the Terradrome, one had the Thunder Machine. But one of the things that I never had that I always wanted, I never had Slaughter, never had the Triple T tank. So I was happy to have him come in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, this was probably peak GI Joe for me. The years later, 82 and 83 were the first years, and 84 was huge, 85, 86. So this was probably my peak year in collecting. I know I got some stuff from subsequent years, but this was probably the top end. Another thing that we never had, now the flag came out the year before. The flag came out in 1985. When it initially came out, it was an MSRP of $109.99. What was it this year?
$125.
Okay, so it had already gone up $15. One friend, I saw the flag one time growing up. I had a buddy, and his family had a swimming pool. We'd go over there once in a while, and he had a toy room. They were very well to do, and they had a big coffee table set up in that room, and he had the flag on there. And I remember I went over there. I didn't even touch it. I just stood there in awe, because when you're 9 or 10 years old, I mean, I've seen one recently, like in the last 10 years, and it's still overwhelming. But when you see that sucker as a 9 or 10-year-old, and this guy had 2 or 3 Sky Strikers on it. He had the Skyhawk. He had all these soldiers. I mean, he's had an awesome setup. But this year, like I said, this was peak GI Joe for me. And that catalog brings back memories. I loved that year. Then, when you would buy the big vehicles, you would get the sheets that folded out, and they would have, on one side, you'd have all the G.I. Joe stuff, and on the other side, you'd have all the Cobra stuff. So that stuff I always held on to as well. But it was just something special about opening that catalog, seeing those pictures, and you knew you weren't going to get most of it, but you sit there and think and wonder, and you see the big boxes under the tree and always wondering what it was. But And the thing that's really cool to look at this now, the thing I think about now as I look at it, I'm looking over top of the computer at my classified setup. Is like, wow, how many of those have we gotten so far? And how many do we have yet to get? And just how cool it is to see the nostalgia and see those things coming back. And as a grown man living a real life, working a real job, paying real bills, I get just as excited for these things now as I did as that 9-year-old opening that catalog.
Cyber Rat says he thinks your folks and his folks are related.
You know what? I think that's a lot of the reason that I collect as heavily as I do, because there's a lot of stuff that I wanted when I was growing up that I just didn't get. So now, provided all of my financial responsibilities are taken care of, I indulge myself, and I love it.
It's funny how small they put the flag there. Like, it's definitely, like, it's not in scale with any other photo, so it looks like it's whatever. But it's, it would be the entire page if you were like the
well, and in the 85 catalog, they had in the 85 catalog, they had ships, they had airplanes on it and stuff, so you could see the scale. And it's really odd that you're going to put $125 ticket item in there. You need to show the scale so parents know what they're getting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mentioned it last week. I had some friends, the Arnold twins, who they had one, and it was just mind blowing. I mean, you talk about putting it on a table. The thing is a table.
Yeah, it is. Roll back up just a little bit. Roll over to the picture, right where you are. Roll up just a little. Yep. I had completely forgotten that they did a repaint of the Stinger and the Ram for the Dreadnoks. I did not remember that at all. And of the Fang and of the Skyhawk. Wow. So they had all those repainted in Dreadnought colors. Yeah, I did not. I guess probably because they're Sears exclusives and they wouldn't have been in those regular fold-out sheets that came with the toys. Yeah. I had no idea. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. And now we have repaints of things that are,
Yeah.
Dorkside Toys exclusives and
Yeah.
things
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
even in classified line, they're getting mileage out of those Python Patrol and Tiger Force
Yep,
repaints
yep.
that I hated as a kid, but they're some of the coolest figures that they're putting out now. So figure that out.
Yeah, it shows how much Braku shows how much money Joe's were bringing in to greenlight all that tooling. Yeah,
Yeah.
for that piece. Yeah.
If you guys, and I'm sure you guys have seen the Toys That Made Us documentaries, one of the things that really stuck out to me on that was how they talked about those figures, which they sold millions upon millions of those figures. Those were loss leaders. They didn't make money on those figures. They sold the figures.
Oh,
See about
okay.
the play sets and the vehicles. Yeah, he said, you know, and I've seen in other interviews in the documentary they call them loss leaders, but I've seen other interviews that went more into depth, and they basically said, yeah, if we could break even on the figures, we were happy. And that didn't usually happen. Because if you think back to that time, everything was individually tooled. They all had multiple accessories. All the accessories were individually tooled. You didn't see a lot of repeat, like how in Star Wars, everyone came with that same doggone laser blaster, you know, that blaster rifle. But all the G.I. Joe figures had different individual stuff. But they more than made their money back on vehicles and play sets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So the next page was not really much. It was like RC military cars and stuff. But just to reminisce about that stuff, I think we talked about how they would have RC vehicles with like 2 buttons. You would have like the forward straight, and then you would have like the backwards that would turn.
It would turn. Oh, that was so cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap. This one's got the directions, but yeah. Okay, so we'll jump past that one and see what we got next here. And superpower stuff.
Cool.
Let's see. So top here, we got superpowers. Up top here, and then down in here we got the Defenders of the Earth.
Nice.
Let me scroll over here, and then so these are Defenders of the Earth vehicles. The Skull helicopter, is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and then we have
Robotech,
which always was really impressive to me as a kid.
Yeah.
Cartoon, that is. I never really had any of the toys, but very cool stuff there.
The only Robotech toy I ever had was that little brown thing with double barrels on its arm, which was not the one I wanted, because my favorite series was always Generation 3 with Scott Bernard and the Invid and the Cyclone motorcycles. So I never had any of that stuff, but I loved Robotech. That was the only reason I really wanted the Jetfire toy growing up, because I knew that was a Robotech jet.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had any Robotech back in the day.
Yeah, this page was not I don't think I had a single one of these on this page. I didn't even have superpowers. Like by 86, I was starting to, I was entrenched in my Joes and Transformers, and I was sort of kind of moving away from toys at that point. But
I wasn't moving away, but I was like you. Like I said, 86 was like peak G.I. Joe for me. It was peak Transformers. I didn't have any Defenders of the Earth toys because I never saw them anywhere. But every Sunday morning, there was this little, growing up, we had the antenna on the roof, and you had 3 channels. You had 2.5 channels until fall and winter. Then you had 3.5 channels. But there was an NBC affiliate on Sunday morning that played Defenders of the Earth. And I always wanted them. I never had any superpowers until years later. The year that the Michael Keaton Batman movie came out, I was spending the night at a friend's house, and he had that Batman. And I traded him a pair of nunchucks for that Batman. And I still have that Batman to this day.
That's funny.
I traded a wrist rocket for the Superman. No, I'm just kidding. That feels like it's from the same magazine, right? Okay, so Braku made a great point. Yeah, video games were starting to take over Nintendo. I remember my buddy had Coleco, and it was the latest sort of advanced thing at that point, and then Nintendo came around right after that. And
yeah,
we saw it in here. We saw it on an earlier page, and it was it must have been the year before Mario, because it was just the Duck Hunt, and it was, it had the robot and stuff. But and like a lot of the generic games and a lot of Atari games were, I think, on the list. But then I think once people really realized what Nintendo could do, that just changed everything. And this was another thing too, like big into sports and like getting into like friends and bike riding and just being out, and just, that just social life kind of took over by then for me too. All right, let's see here. What do we got next? Oh, here we go.
There we go. You got the important page here. This was the year that the Transformers movie came out.
Yep.
So you had all kinds of stuff. You had your Wreck-Gar, your Rodimus Prime. You had your Hot Rod Cup and Blur, Springer. We never got an RC. Ultra Magnus. Yep, there you go. There you go. Galvatron, I think. It came out as the City Commander versus Ultra Magnus. Yeah, they were released as City Commanders because they didn't want to give anything away from the movie. And the Hot Rod was released, and his function was Warrior, and Rodimus Prime's function was Cavalier. They didn't tell you that they were the same person. They didn't tell you that Rodimus Prime was being the leader. So there's a lot of obfuscation going on in the file cards and the tech specs for these movie characters, because they were going to come out before the movie landed, and they didn't want to give anything away about the movie plot. But yeah, Bill, what did you have from this page?
Geez, not a ton. Again, this was kind of, I'm trying to think if I had anything from this page really.
Yeah, by the time I'm
going to see the movie, but I feel like I didn't really get a lot of the toys at that time. I'm not sure I had anything on this page really.
We didn't get a lot of Transformers growing up because those were higher ticket items, and Mom wanted to try to be able to get us a lot of things under the tree. So it would be a lot of G.I. Joe figures. It would be smaller, mid-sized vehicles. But I remember this Christmas I got Rodimus Prime, and I got Rodimus Prime that Christmas. What else is on there? I got Hot Rod for my birthday, and then a couple years after that, I got Motormaster, Breakdown, and Drag Strip in a trade. So I had 3/5 of Minosaur. And then that was it. But I had this friend he was kind of in the boat that David Smith was. He was into sports. He was, he didn't care about toys. And his mom bought him. I remember that year I went over to his house, spend the night, and he had in his closet, in the boxes, all 6 of the Predacons. He had Galvatron, he had Ultra Magnus, he had Metroplex, he had all 3 of the Warriors, Cup, Blur, and Hot Rod, and had no interest in opening them, no interest in playing with them. And I was befuddled. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe it. And to this day, I'd love to stumble upon that closet and find all those things still in the box, still taped up. But yeah, that was another one. That was another just awesome set of stuff. I mean, by this time we had all seen the movie, and knew who the characters were. So it was so strange to me when I got Rodimus Prime and got Hot Rod, how the file cards didn't tell us what we knew about them. So
yeah,
kind of a weird thing.
Trypticon was $58. Galvatron $25.
Yeah, I don't think I never owned any of these guys. I really do want. I mean, they've done a reissue of the Ultra Magnus. I've never, because I've always wanted to just have that, even though I know it's just a brick of a figure, or at least just see it in person once. But
when they did all those re-releases at Toys R Us back in the early 2000s, I had all of those, and Ultra Magnus was one of the figures that was stolen from my storage unit in Miami when I had all that stuff stolen when I lived down there. But yeah, so Trypticon, that's $60, 1986. Wait, I said 85. Hold on a second.
I forgot. They reissued Trypticon probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I bought that, and I have it in a box somewhere.
Yeah, that would be $162.98 today. So that kind of jives with what we're paying for the Titans. and
Yeah.
with no electronics. That's a smaller figure that had electronics. What's the price on that Metroplex, Bill?
It was
In the catalog,
49. Wait, hold on. I just saw it. 35.
Oh,
it was
it's
only
cheap.
$35. Wow! So that would be about $95 today's.
Skylinks was
Yeah,
more. That's
yeah, it was
weird.
motorized, and it was. I remembered Metroplex being bigger than it is until I said Metroplex is not much taller than those combined gestalts. So there was a lot more plastic Skylinks plus the motorized undercarriage.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that's another one I never had. I always kind of wanted, but yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend that had that, so I got to play with that. But yeah, when you look at the prices, you think, oh man, that wasn't much. But when you plug it into an inflation calculator, it's like, oh yeah, that was pretty expensive stuff back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did you say? What did you say the $60 is now? 175, something like that.
$162.98.
$162.98 in 2022, which means it was probably about $110 in 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
let's go to the next page here. Let's see what we got next. What am I looking at here?
Centurions.
Centurions. There we go. Centurions.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't there a third party company that's doing that?
Yeah.
I think Floosh had them. He was talking about some of their
I
products.
think it's Ramen Toys, if I
Yeah.
remember right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm not
And they're
very
doing-
familiar with Centurions at all.
Yep. I did have like one of these. I remember having like one of these things, but this was maybe like a year or two even after maybe that I picked these up. But like I had one of these guys. I can't remember which one. Maybe this, probably this green one in the middle. And don't even ask me the
Yeah.
names, but
I never had any Centurions. I remember there was a cartoon that I maybe saw once or twice.
Ace McLeod, Max Ray, and Jake Rockwell. There you go.
He rocks.
They were
well.
neat though. I remember really liking them as a kid, just because the premise of having all those ports, which makes me think of what they're doing with Cosmic Legions.
Transformers. Yeah, well, Transformers too.
Well, yeah, Transformers with with all the weapons and stuff, and like nowadays, like the Cosmic Legions is doing this. Like they're gonna have little holes at different points
Yeah,
in the
I've seen
figures,
that.
and you're gonna have things that you can port into those holes. It's not gonna
That's
be
cool.
like huge rockets, but it'll be like guns and tubes and things like that. I think.
It's an idea that really was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool line. Let's see what else do we
I
have.
feel like if something like that had an animation or comic book vehicle like a Transformers or a GI Joe, that it would have had a bigger footprint than what it had.
Yeah.
Because it's such a cool concept.
One of the things, Larry, that I'm not gonna be able to find the page offhand right now, but one of the things that maybe I will. Maybe I can find it. Hang on a second. There was a page of watches. It's probably this one. Nope, not that one. It is probably, hang on a second. It's probably this one. So they had Centurion's watches,
Oh yeah, that's
Oh wow.
right? And then they had like
That's pretty cool.
transforming watches.
I had the gold. I had that one in gold.
Yeah. And then video game watches. And we talked about like back then, Larry, remember how everything was like NFL products. You get anything like in any team. Like you could just
Yep.
order any team of this watch. You could order any team of this clock.
Helmet.
And we
Yep.
talked about the pencils when
Yeah.
we
Oh,
were
I
in
had all
school,
those.
and they had the vending machines in school, and you could buy the pencils.
Do you remember the vending? Now they had these in school, but you remember the vending machines that had the little helmets and the plastic ball?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing everybody was trying to collect. To collect all of those.
Yep. Yeah, I actually never had like just loose change to be buying those pencils, but I had a friend who had every single pencil. I remember that. Okay, let's get into so there's so this was
Inhumanoids.
a fold. This is the other half of that page,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So this is
Okay.
the fold out. We had more Centurions here, Inhumanoids over here. Never had those, but I remember those. It's cool premise.
Wow, that's big. I
Wow,
didn't
those
see
are
it,
big.
like,
Exactly.
with that kid, because that's before my time. I did
It's
not
like
see this. That's a
it's about the
giant figure.
size of one of those Shogun warriors.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow. It's a
Yeah,
big
those would be
chunk.
fun, like
Do we have
updated
prices here?
giant
What were the
figures like
prices
that.
on those?
So number
16,
15 and
15.
16.
Yeah, $25.
25
$25
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah.
Not cheap.
Yeah. 24 is Granite can turn into a pile of rocks. Nice.
That'd be $68 today.
They
Wow.
got so run down on like ideas that they had things that would transform into rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they had a whole season, a movie of the GoBots about the Rock Lords. They all just bent
Yeah, the
over.
Rock
They were
Lords.
like, what were those He-Man
Sounds
characters?
familiar.
Rock-On and Stone-Dar.
Yeah.
Somebody was stoned when they made those.
Yeah. Here we go. Thundercats.
Wow.
Oh, nice. That's one that I always loved. I never had a single Thundercats toy, but I watched that cartoon anytime it was on. I thought the animation on that was so, I mean, to this day, that animation stands up. You watch that opening sequence.
Yeah.
That I think it was Rankin Bass. I think it was the same company that did one of those Lord of the Rings movies, because I remember Slythe kind of looking like he could have been Gollum's ugly uncle. But yeah, the animation on that show was top notch. But I never had any of those figures.
Yeah. Same here.
But I have all the Super 7 and Mattel updates, so I made up for it.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember friends having them. I remember friends having the Cat's Lair, but I don't think I actually owned any Thundercats myself. Even though I remember the toy. I remember the toy line and I remember the cartoon fairly well. I just don't think still going.
One kid at my babysitter had the Lion-O, and he had this little ring thing with a battery in it. And when you plug it into the figure's back, the eyes would light up. I think Mumra's did the same thing, but I never saw a Mumra.
By the way, save this catalog through August 31st, 1987. You can order any item on pages 375 to 566.
200.
I saved that sucker till the next one came out. So there you go.
All right. Let's see.
Rotoscope animation is still my favorite. Yeah. P.S. Me too. I think it's some of the best looking animation out there.
We can check some of the prices on that previous page, right? So
Cat's Lair was $57.
$7 per the figures. Thunder Tank was $27. Yeah.
So that's about $75. How much were the figures?
$7.
$7. Not bad.
So that's a $12 figure.
Yeah, it's funny the jump from like.
How much was that Cat's Lair?
$58.
58. Yeah, that'd been a little pricey. That was $147.95.
There you go. It's funny to think like last year we jumped a lot. We jumped 3 years, right? We did 83 last year.
Yeah.
So even there, like the prices are jumping up from then. $3 figures and whatnot in the previous one.
Well, there were a little more to these than those old Star Wars figures.
Is this the real Ghostbusters here?
Yeah.
No, that's not the real Ghostbusters. That's the Filmation Ghostbusters.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw that cartoon. It was the thing, the bumper came on as
Yeah.
I think maybe Thundercats was going off and said, "Stay tuned for Ghostbusters." And I was like, awesome. And it started playing the intro to that. And I was like, what fresh hell is this?
Hilarious.
I didn't have any. I don't recall the figures, but I swear I had the car because that whole action and the wings and stuff of the lifting and everything that really seems familiar.
It was the early hydraulics scene.
Do we know who made these?
Was it LJN? Was it the same ones?
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed, but I don't really know. It says imported something there.
Somebody in the chat will let us know. All right, next page. Mask.
Shapper. I've never heard of them.
That's the company.
Shaper Tyco. SCHAPER.
Okay.
It's pretty
Now this
awful.
I did have one or two things. This was like, again, that was like one of the last things that was neat to me, and then I kind of was, not really into the stuff anymore. But Mask was super cool. I thought, to me, this was one of the best quality things out there at the time. I thought,
Yeah,
really
and
nice.
it was really smart the way they did it too, because they took those figures down to a little smaller size,
Yep.
so they could do so much with those vehicles and play sets that really is what enabled them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. PS is correct. Hasbro does have the mask rights. They made when they tried to do that Hasbro comic universe a few years ago, they had Mask in it,
Yeah.
and Transformers, and then with the GI Joe 25th anniversary 3.75-inch line, they actually made a Matt Tracker figure, which was pretty cool.
What was it, Kenner at the time? Was this?
It was Kenner. I think it was Kenner at the time. Yeah. I only ever had one thing. I had the Condor, that little green motorcycle that turned into a helicopter with the guy wearing yellow that rode it. That's the only thing I ever had.
Is that?
It's not on there. It would have been in the
not on
first year of release.
Yeah. I do think I had the Camaro. What was the Camaro called? So that would be number 8.
Oh, Matt Tracker's Thunderhawk. Yeah.
Like, I kind of vaguely remember the show, but I definitely remember feeling like the toys were just really nice at the time.
I saw some of those in a shop maybe 10 years ago, and was able to, like, the only ones I ever saw live was a handful of stuff from the first season. A lot of this later stuff I never got to see, but just quality wise, they really still seem to hold up, all these years later, and high quality stuff, well-made stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are before my time too. That didn't make it to the late 80s, I guess.
Here we go. Masters of the Universe.
Yep. Coming into the final years of He-Man. This year was the last big year of revenue. And then in 87, it just fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Buzz Off. So Buzz Off is
that's your boy.
The Origins one. I was starting to make my list for my top 10 under 50, and I'm pretty sure that was going to be on there. I love the generic carrying case right here.
Yeah.
Fantasy creatures.
Carry a lot of mythics in there, I'm sure.
I don't think I had any stuff from this page. I think I had stopped getting He-Man by this time.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those, I don't think.
What's the big playset?
Eternia.
That is Eternia. Okay.
Yeah, what's the price on that one, Bill?
Let's see here. $99.99.
Oh, son. So that's a USS flag, yeah.
Yep. That's a lot of scratch back then.
It is a lot of scratch.
Yeah,
that would have been $170.
Yeah, and it's like,
of course, now if you bought
there's a lot of empty space, but just like the footprint on this thing is wild.
And it comes with those two things to the left and right of it, like those kind of towers.
Yeah, the towers. Yeah. Wasn't the Mattel one that they did on their crowdfunding a couple months ago? Wasn't that around $600?
I think so.
For their Origins line. Yeah. So yeah, even though you could, that is less than $200 in today's dollars. That just goes to show you how much volume they were pushing out to be able to get that big chunk of plastic cost down that much.
Hey guys, you miss a sale? Not at Sears. You automatically get the lower price if the item you order is currently on sale or in another Sears catalog.
And I thought Amazon was the first ones to do
that's
that.
like the Amazon guarantee, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if only Sears could have gotten us to it in next day delivery.
Chuck Norris. Yeah, Chuck Norris.
Karate Commandos. Yeah, I remember those commercials.
Nice.
Never had any of those. Is that Karate Kid below it?
Yep. Looks like
Son of a gun, it is.
So many action figures lines.
Oh my gosh, that's they were making a figure for everything. Right? Yep. Daniel and Chosen. I think I saw Johnny down in that big picture.
Yeah, you can see the blonde hair
Yep.
here.
And crease. Yep.
Yeah. I still haven't watched Cobra Kai the most recent season. I gotta get on that.
I've only seen season 1. I have a lot of catch up to do there.
Yeah, we're all caught up. I like that show a lot. I think it does really
That's the
good.
next
It's just
page.
it's funny and just it's a good show.
Yeah, it's not too serious. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Guys, pardon me for just 1 second.
$13 for figures, huh?
Yeah, that seems like a lot compared to some of the other ones when you can get it's like 2 Thundercats or like 1 Chuck Norris or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think we're winding down here. Let's see. Yeah, we're into like costumes and stuff. Yeah, let's see what's on this page.
No lower price.
Your choice, $17.99.
That's pretty good costume for a kid to see Russ
yeah,
at.
Shearer costume.
The mask is ridiculous.
How does that? Oh, there must be straps that connect to the back to that thing up top.
Yeah, that's
That's
weird.
nice. Look at that. You got the glove and the sword of Thundera.
Nice. Archery, random archery set.
I was like obsessed with like toy like Rambo's knife, like the survival knife, but like toy versions.
Yeah, we got all kinds of that stuff because I lived way out in the country, so my closest neighbor was a half-mile walk through the woods. So our biggest thing when we would go play with the neighbors, well, half the adventure was getting there. And so we would always have all this army stuff. We had the guns and the knives and all this stuff. And we would, go play army. If we didn't want to walk all the way to the neighbor's house, we would make a phone call. Hey, let's meet and we had certain places in the woods where we had built forts and stuff like that. And we had all kinds of this stuff.
So Edgardo mentions service merchandise, which is like a store that functioned as a catalog, essentially.
Yeah.
Like you'd walk in there and it would just be displays, and then they would get, I think you would like order the stuff and they would grab it from the back or whatever, if I remember correctly. But yeah, service merchandise.
I remember that was the catalog they always talked about on Wheel of Fortune when someone would get a gift certificate for service merchandise.
Yeah,
I like
and,
that.
Back still in the age of like somewhat realistic looking guns.
Yeah,
it's very realistic.
No orange tip on that one.
I'm glad it has a nice shoulder holster too.
Nice.
Little archery set. I had archery in high school, believe it or not.
Oh.
It was cool. We had a lot of cool things at my school. All right, let's see.
That's cool.
I think we're done here. No,
there we go. Yep, I had a bunch of those.
Wow.
Let's see.
Solid single cast, like, right? They're just like the.
If you chucked that
rubber.
King Kong Bundy at someone, you might kill them. That sucker was heavy.
Yeah.
I had Hogan. I had Bundy. I had Hogan and Bundy, and I had all of those except for Jimmy Hart and Miss Elizabeth. I had that ring, not the cheap one. I had the good one. Yeah, man, I remember the K&K toys in our mall. I'll put a bunch of them on clearance, and they were like $2 a piece. And Mom let me get like 10 of them, and got a bunch of them. Did you guys have the muscles? Did you guys have muscle?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
I had a handful of them.
This was, like I said, I was starting to drift away, but my cousins were still little. Like my cousins, probably the cousin that's older is probably 4 years younger than me, and they had tons of this stuff. And they were the ones who had tons of Masters of the Universe, and it was some of the reason why I didn't get into them as much, because they had everything, and also one of the reasons why I never read the mini comics, because they just had I never had access to them. But yeah, they had a ton of these things, and they were a lot of fun to play with, even just being non-articulated figures, just like smashing them into each other and just like arm hooking.
The problem was they scuffed the paint off, and you would have paint scuffs from the other figures on them, and you couldn't get the paint off.
No,
couldn't do it.
True.
Yeah, I really remember.
I never had the ring, but I did have some muscles. See, that felt more like a collector thing. Like you could kind of collect those. as opposed to it being like a true like toy that every could play with and stuff. But hey, here you go.
Mhm.
These are
Oh
just
my
got,
Lord. They were trying to make
made
Sunman a thing back in 1986.
And then here's the rocks, the Rock Lords.
There's some rocks.
I remember those now. Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible. Just terrible.
I mean, this one just straight up looks like a crinkled up ball of foil. Right
Yeah.
Those are as bad as some of those Tom Cruise Transformers in that movie Big. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The building.
Legions of Power.
Oh, what is that? I don't remember this.
Never had these guys.
Oh, that's pretty cool looking. Yeah, I don't remember those at all.
Yeah. Almost like I don't know.
Like constructs or something.
Yeah, constructing. Yeah, and then
Like
there's
those
constructs right below it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's constructs.
Yeah.
That poor kid looks like he's thinking to himself, man, I wish this was an Ultra Magnus.
Yeah, look at him. Hey, kid, try to look like you're having fun with your
Right, exactly. Like,
Legions
no,
of
man.
Power sounds like a wrestling tag team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. And this shows you how far Legos have come.
Well, there's some good ones. This is why I kept Lego. We're almost done. I wanted to show.
Oh, look at that.
Airport.
Wow.
So the castle stuff my buddies had, and they had a crazy room with tons of castles, even like into like high school.
That is nuts.
But for me, right around this time, around 86, 87, I was way into these space, and that was it Black Star or something like that. I don't. Do they have that on here? Let me see. They might.
The castle stuff was still going when I was into Lego, and I remember that a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Castles and Pirates had a lot of those before they got
we're out of that. Our nephew loves Legos. And so I was actually in the Lego store earlier this week, and it just blows me away at how far that stuff's come. But look, they had the early Technic stuff.
Yeah, this is
that's
the early
so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the stuff they have now for Technics.
Oh, it's insane. Like you can build a Ford Shelby Mustang GT in it, with a working engine. It's ridiculous.
Blacktron. Okay, there we go. Blacktron was a little later, and it was essentially like a continuation of the space theme stuff, and it was so cool. And that was like, I was then into like middle school and stuff, and I had moved to the new town. It was just like that new phase of my life, but that was still like a toy I loved. And the Blacktron, that was some cool stuff.
Shooter makes a good point, man.
That would be a good one to like revisit as a brand.
Yeah, it would. And then, but Star Wars called. And what's really cool is when you look back at what those early Star Wars releases looked like compared to now. It's just amazing, the difference.
Yeah. 547. Yeah, this was the last page I had bookmarked.
Oh,
I love that.
That's one. Out.
I think you might have. Sorry, guys, you're stuck with us now.
Yeah, let's have to.
Chris, take the wheel
for a second. Oh, there is Bill.
Here he comes.
I did that thing where I do the two finger swipe, and it like went
shut
back
yourself
to the
down.
last screen. Trevor's here. I wanted all the Knights and Castles. Yeah, they were awesome, and they were super intricate and all that stuff. It was sweet. But yeah, so by the way, again, Trevor showed this earlier. Thank you, dude, for the ornament. It is so cool. And as soon as we get done with this, it's going right on my tree. And so let me pull this up full screen here and wrap this one up, guys. Lego's done 1 or 2 Blacktron collectible minifigures in their okay. I actually probably would buy like a Blacktron thing if they did a new set that was.
Yeah, could you imagine what they could do with like this technology and the designs that they're capable of doing now?
Yeah, you're very welcome. Cool, but yeah. Any last thoughts? Any last memories from the catalog days?
I just love it. It's such a nostalgic hit for me because, like I said, just growing up, I loved all these things. I loved all these properties, and you know, we never went without food. You know, it's not like that.
Yeah.
But we didn't get a bunch of extra stuff. So
Yeah.
to be able to have that catalog, to be able to look at those things and think about what you may or may not be getting for Christmas and birthday, it was a really big treat. And being able to tell mom, hey, this is what I want, this is what I like to have, and somehow she always managed to get something cooler or more than I expected. To this day, I don't know how the woman managed it, but somehow she did. We always had awesome Christmases growing up.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun to look back, especially these ones where it was like I wasn't really cognizant of I was 4 when that in '86, so
Right.
a little
So the
before
stuff
my brain was working.
Wow, I thought Bill was just being really thoughtful for a second, but I think
Okay, yeah, I thought I froze too.
he's really put some thought into that next comment.
we froze up here. Yeah, we're kind of losing the
Yeah,
connection, but
I think so.
yeah. So I was saying, like, back when Star Wars first came out, like those were hand-me-downs for me around
Mhm.
80, 81, and then yeah, it went from there. So
That was my
similar
first
timeline.
big toy Christmas year was 80, because I remember I got the Falcon, and my first round of Star Wars figures was all Empire Strike Back stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything after
Cool.
that.
Well, all right, guys. I want to say thank you again for the gifts, and we'll get it to Larry's gifts next week. I'm sure those will show up like tomorrow morning.
They probably will,
Yeah.
even though they've not started tracking. It's so frustrating this
Yeah,
time of
but
year.
we'll hold off. We'll hold off and open them on the show next week when we do our top figures from. Do I have that up still? No, I don't have that up anymore. I lost it, but we have the whole list. I'll post them in the Facebook group for all the different categories that we're going to cover for the best figures of 2022, of course, throughout that week. So probably even before that episode, I'll have my first one on the channel. Probably start with the, top 10 figures under $50, get that one up and work my way up the categories. But yeah, so I guess that's it for today. And we'll see you next week on the 29th. Everybody have a fantastic Christmas. I know Hanukkah's wrapping up, so anybody celebrating that, and happy holidays to everybody. And until next time, may the force be with you.